Yuuya Tenjou is a Japanese middle school loser boy who has no friends at school, and couldn't bag a girl even if he tried, almost similar to myself. Tenjou, passing by, happens to see a teenage girl being harassed by some ugly men on the streets. He attempts to intervene and tries to speak up against the men. However, the men insults and physically beat him before fleeing when the police arrive. Despite the girl's gratitude, Yuuya brushes off the incident and walks away like he ain't just get Chris breezied down to the ground. Yuuya's kind and helpful nature was instilled in him by his grandfather. From a young age, Yuuya was bullied by everyone, including his own parents who favored his more attractive siblings. The situation only worsened in middle school, where he faced constant physical violence. Despite the abuse, his grandfather always reminded him of the importance of kindness and how he basically raised him to be a little bitch.
What more do you want from me?
When his grandfather passed away, Yuuya inherited his home and savings. However, his parents contested their will and ultimately abandoned him to get the milk like my father, leaving him to fend for himself with a part-time job as they couldn't get the property and the house. As Yuuya graduates from middle school, his yearbook is filled with cruel comments. His bullies confront him on his way out, reminding him that he is still their errand boy despite graduating. When Yuuya tries to leave for work, the bullies beat him up as his brother and sister watch from a distance. In all honesty, if he becomes a villain, I'll support him. Meanwhile, Yuuya comes into work late, and of course, like any boss, his boss is fed up with his tardiness, leading to his dismissal. At home, feeling defeated, he has a dreary meal and has a fit of anger, smashing a mirror and punching the wall. To his surprise, the wall opens, revealing a hidden room filled with peculiar items, which he believes are his grandfather's travel souvenirs. Yuuya discovers a strange door that leads to another room. A notification appears, stating that the door is a gateway to another world. Through the notification, he learns about its various functions, including the ability to store items and control who can enter. Despite his confusion, he treats it like a game and checks his status, only to be crushed to find out that his stats are terrible. Yuuya surveys the room, and as he looks outside, he realizes that he has entered another world. While browsing the room, he finds a note that he initially can't read. However, due to his language skill, he understands that the owner of the house belonged to a great sage or super magician who left everything to whoever found it. The house where Yuuya finds himself is well protected by magic, making it impenetrable. While exploring, he stumbles upon a collection of weapons, all of which are exceptional and dangerous. He practices with each of them, honing his skills and discovering that they are all god-tier items. Despite his training, his stats remain at level 1, leaving him puzzled about how to increase them. Suddenly, a terrifying monster attacks him, but he realizes that the magic surrounding his home protects him. The monster, a level 300 bloody ogre, relentlessly pounds against the wall, trying to break in. Yuuya throws his spear and kills it in one swift move, gaining a significant boost to his stats and reaching level 100. With his newfound power, he decides to call it a day, and he is surprised to discover that he can convert the items dropped by the monster into money. As the night falls, Yuuya undergoes a transformation that changes his body completely. His clothes no longer fit him, so he ventures out in search of new ones. In the sage's house, he finds magical clothes that adjust to his size and provide various magical benefits. As he explores the garden, he discovers different plants and vegetables that he tries to care for. An attack by a level 200 slime monster fails to intimidate him, and he easily defeats it with his spear. The monster drops some coffee slime and a rare necklace that restores his magic power, causing him to level up again and gain a new skill, presence detection. He is now at level 150 and eager to continue his journey. After finding the coffee slime surprisingly tasty, Yuuya decides to spend some of his earned money on a new school uniform, making sure it's ready for the start of high school. He spends every day in the other world, enjoying himself and forgetting about his depression, training and learning as much as possible. When an elite goblin attacks his house, Yuuya is a completely different person, skillfully fighting against it and even using a special skill to destroy the goblin. As time passes, the start of high school approaches, and Yuuya's presence draws everyone's attention, including his siblings. During class, his former bullies approach him, mistaking him for a transfer student. When Yuuya reveals his true identity, everyone is shocked and disbelieving.
Oi.
In the bathroom, he finally sees his transformed appearance for the first time and is completely taken aback. Yuuya's brother and sister approach him after class, calling him a loser like yourself.
What'd I do?
And questioning the drastic change in his behavior. Suddenly, a limo arrives and the girl he saved earlier is looking for him. Her name is Kaori, and she reveals that she looked into Yuuya because she wanted to thank him. Kaori then introduces herself as a member of the student council at Aosei Academy, an elite institution for the super talented. She offers to allow Tenjou to attend the Aosei Academy. However, despite feeling flattered by the offer, Yuuya believes that he isn't intelligent enough to attend such a prestigious academy. His brother interrupts and expresses interest in joining, claiming to be superior to Tenjou in academics and sports. However, Kaori refuses to consider his brother's application, citing his insulting behavior towards Tenjou. Kaori explains that their academy values personality as much as academics, which convinces Yuuya to consider attending. She offers to show him around the school, and Yuuya agrees, much to the disbelief of his siblings. As they walk away, Yuuya's siblings are left in shock by what has just transpired. Upon arrival at the prestigious academy filled with high-achieving students, Yuuya is greeted by the chairman, Tsukasa Haoju, who expresses gratitude for his heroic act of saving his daughter. Yuuya tries to downplay the event, but Kaori emphasizes his bravery in helping her. Tsukasa extends an invitation for Tenjou to join the school, and as a token of appreciation, offers to cover his tuition. However, Yuuya is hesitant, believing that only geniuses are accepted at such an esteemed institution. Tsukasa refutes this belief, explaining that geniuses are just regular people who have learned to work smartly and efficiently rather than gifted with innate talent. Tsukasa assures Tenjou that he possesses unique talents that he will discover through challenges and enjoyable experiences at the academy, especially at his young age. To test the waters, Tsukasa suggests Tenjou attend the school for a day. Shortly after, a respected teacher named Sawada enters, whom Tsukasa introduces as a renowned scientist with classes that are both informative and easy to comprehend. Yuuya was nervous for his first class, fearing that he might not be able to keep up. But he believed that it couldn't be any worse than his old school. When he introduced himself, the students were stunned, but not because of his lack of knowledge. They were surprised by his striking good looks. The girl next to him was a bit cold towards him, making him worry that she already disliked him. Kaori hoped that Tenjou would fit in with the class. To his relief, he found the class to be just like any other, except the students were more active and engaged. During their break, a couple of students tried to befriend him, asking if he was a celebrity or had a girlfriend. Ryu, a classmate, stopped them from bothering him and showed him around the school. They ate lunch with Shingo, who is a nerd that talks about anime and video games like myself. Yuuya was surprised to find out that Shingo was part of the gaming club, and he was allowed to bring his console to school as long as he didn't play during class. As the day progressed, Yuuya felt more comfortable with his new classmates, even though he stood out with his different uniform. They were interested in what he had to say and treated him as an equal. When Tenjou met with Tsukasa at the end of the day, he admitted that he had a great time. He was impressed by how much fun everyone seemed to be having and how they embraced him despite being a newcomer. Tsukasa asks Tenjou if he wants to stay at the school, but Tenjou is unsure. Tsukasa advises him that only he can determine his worth, and after some contemplation, Yuuya decides to enroll. Leaving the room, he runs into Kaori, who asks if he's joining the school. Yuuya shares his decision, and Kaori is pleased, inviting him to hang out with her after class. They explore some popular shops in the area, and Tenjou wonders if Kaori spends time here with her friends, but she reveals that people are hesitant to socialize with her due to her family's reputation. However, she thinks Yuuya is different. Feeling nervous, Tenjou suggests checking out a crepe shop, and he's relieved to have money from the other world. They enjoy their crepes in each other's company. Yuuya worries that overindulging may cause him to return to his original form, and he asks Kaori how she recognized him despite his transformation. She replies that his eyes remain unchanged. When he suggests they share a bite, they feel shy but eventually do so. Some onlookers observe the couple, thinking they are cute together. That night, Yuuya returns to the other world wearing full armor, facing monsters and leveling up to 235. However, he realizes that his leveling speed has slowed down and decides to venture outside his home to find stronger opponents. While heading out, he hears a scream and rushes to its source, finding a group of soldiers killed by a level 200 goblin general. Yuuya notices a girl behind the monster and throws his spear, but it deflects it. With quick thinking, Yuuya attacks the goblin with his foot, defeating it. As he approaches the girl, she warns him of another goblin behind him, and Yuuya fights it with his spear, bow, and sword, ultimately defeating it. After checking on the girl, she faints, and Yuuya wonders about other humans in this world. As Yuuya walks around, he hears some men approaching, prompting him to use his invisibility skill to avoid them. We learn that the men are knights who are looking for a girl named Lexia, who turns out to be a princess. Later at home, Tenjou thinks about the encounter and hopes that Lexia is safe, given that there were knights there to help her. He looks at his enchanted shirt, which always stays clean, and realizes that he should buy some new clothes since he has made money from the other world. As Yuuya walks around, people stare at him, assuming that he is an actor or model. He feels the need to change his clothes so that he doesn't always look the same. Meanwhile, a director at a photo shoot becomes angry when a model named Shu fails to turn up for the shoot. Everyone is ready to start, and the shoot's theme is focused on being a couple, so the director can't shoot without Shu. The director decides to look for a replacement model in the mall, and they pass by Tenjou. While shopping, some girls approach him, and he fears that they are using a sales tactic. The girls offer to help him shop and learn more about him, but Yuuya declines politely, causing them to become stunned and start freaking out about him. He wonders if he could have handled the situation differently. The director struggles to find a replacement model but remains determined not to give up. When he sees Yuuya, he instantly thinks that he is the right person for the job. The director approaches Yuuya and explains the situation to him. Despite feeling nervous, Yuuya agrees to be their model, thinking about all the people who are counting on him. Yuuya was playing the role of a boyfriend for a photo shoot, posing in various outfits and positions. Despite the director's instruction to look sexier, Tenjou struggled to deliver. Miu complimented him on his first attempt, and he couldn't help but feel captivated by her beauty. Although Miu thanked him for saving them, Yuya sensed her getting closer to him. The director commented that Yuya looked stiff, and they moved to another location. Yuya was amazed by how professional Miu was, considering they were around the same age. He resolved to give it his all, but panicked when Miu grabbed onto him for the next shot and pushed up against him. As she wrapped her arms around him, Yuya grew even more embarrassed as a crowd started to watch. Meanwhile, in another world, Princess Lexia reminisced about her rescue and decided to venture back into the dark forest to find her savior. Her knight objected, warning her of the dangers, but she was determined to express her gratitude. She invited her knights to accompany her and pondered the source of her recklessness. After the photo shoot ended, Yuya was exhausted, and Miu thanked him once more. Yuya choked on his drink, and Miu offered him her handkerchief, but he hesitated as he was sweaty and couldn't use the borrowed clothes sleeves. As he contemplated his experience modeling, Tenjou acknowledged Miu's incredible talent. Miu admitted that she had grown accustomed to it, recalling how she made many errors when starting. Yuya thought back to his initial encounter with fashionable clothing and wondered what prompted Miu to begin modeling. She admitted that she sought attention because her parents were always occupied. But she continued once she gained a following, enjoying the happiness she brought to others. As they conversed, she encouraged him to pursue his dreams at his own pace and reminded him to cherish every moment along the way. Meanwhile, the director captured candid photos of them. Suddenly, Shu appeared, causing excitement among the crowd. He approached Miu, hoping to proceed with the shoot and made advances by pressing her against the wall. However, Tenjou could sense her discomfort and intervened. Shu attempted to punch him, but Yuya easily threw him away. Despite his worry about causing a scene, the crowd cheered for him. The director dismissed Shu from the shoot, and Miu thanked Yuya for his assistance, revealing that Shu had been stalking her. The director shared that Shu's behavior had always been problematic and was unlikely to work again. He inquired if Tenjou was interested in pursuing modeling, but Yuya declined, feeling unprepared. The director respected his decision and offered him all the clothes from the shoot as compensation. Miu expressed her desire to work with him again, and they wished him luck as they left. Later, the director lamented that Tenjou could have been a star, while Miu reflected on how different he was from the other models. Tenjou organized his wardrobe, and his photos circulated among agencies, with one determined to sign him before others. She was impressed by his presence and abilities despite being an amateur, and she refuses to let him slip away from her grasp. Meanwhile, in the other world, we see Lexia's knights fighting against some goblins. The knights are struggling, and there is suddenly a goblin that appears behind her, but the goblin is defeated as Yuya makes his appearance. They are shocked to see him, and Yuya effortlessly slays the goblins. Lexia is glad to see he is real, and Yuya treats one of the knights. Lexia approaches him, saying she came to the dark forest because she had something to tell him. Yuya wonders what she wants, and she suddenly asks if he will marry her, causing them all to be shocked. In the forest, Knight expresses concern about Lexia's feelings for Yuya due to her status as a princess. Despite Knight's doubts, Lexia is convinced that she's in love with Yuya at first sight. However, Yuya interrupts their argument, warning them of the danger in the forest and inviting them to his home. Surprised to learn that Yuya lives in the forest, they are amazed by his home's beauty. Knight introduces himself as Owen, the captain of the Arcelian Knights, and Lexia as the first princess of Arcelia. She thanks Yuya for saving them and assures him that they are not there for an official visit. When Yuya introduces himself, Owen suspects that he may not be from their country. Lexia daydreams about Yuya being royalty from another land, while Owen is concerned about other possibilities. Owen reveals that they are also there to extend an invitation from the king for Yuya to visit the royal palace. Although hesitant, Yuya is pressured to accept the royal command. They leave, and Lexia promises to win Yuya's heart when they next meet. Meanwhile, in the royal capital, a masked man reports his failure to assassinate Lexia. The masked man, revealed to be a member of the royal family with a disfigured face, swears to get his revenge on Lexia. Yuya marks his calendar for the visit to the royal palace, but he worries that it will interfere with starting school. Owen reassures him that they are happy to wait for him to decide when to go. On his first day at the academy, Yuya dons his new uniform and makes his way to school. As he walks, he attracts stares, with many assuming he is a famous model. The director greets him upon arrival but apologizes for not having time to talk. However, he advises Tenjou to enjoy himself at the school. Yuya is then introduced to the class as an official student, and Ryu and Shingo are delighted to see him. At a soccer game, Ryu scores a goal, causing all the girls to cheer for him. From the sidelines, Yuya watches in awe of Ryu's skill. Kid approaches Yuya and asks why he isn't playing, and he explains that he doesn't have his gym clothes yet. Ryu then takes on the opposing team by himself, but he outwits them by passing the ball to Akira. Akira attempts to use his special move but ends up kicking the ball straight at Kid. Nevertheless, Yuya saves the day, stopping the ball and scoring a goal. Everyone is astonished by Yuya's agility, and Kid is stunned by his bravery. Akira apologizes and offers to be her servant, but Keed declines, saying she is fine. Ryu speaks up for Akira, describing him as a bit quirky, and Akira expresses gratitude to him for saving both of them. Later on, Kaori heads to the changing room for gym class, where all the girls are buzzing about Yuuya, calling him a prince. Keed shares with Kaori what had happened earlier, and the girls speculate that Yuuya must have a girlfriend because he is so cool. During his class, Yuuya notices Kaori down on the field and waves to her. Suddenly, a group of delinquents on motorbikes burst in, brandishing bats and surrounding the girls. The Red Ogres, the most dangerous delinquent group in the area, are recognized by the students, and Yuuya sees his siblings among them. Kaori questions their presence, but Yuta points her out as the director's daughter, and Sora suggests abducting her as payback for looking down on them and accepting Yuuya into the academy. Despite Kaori warning them about the police, they surround her, and Yuuya feels his legs shaking as he panics. However, he manages to gather his courage and jump out of the 4th floor window to confront the delinquents. He easily disarms them and dodges their attacks, but he is stopped by a massive guy named Omori. Yuuya doesn't budge when Omori charges at him, and he throws him aside. Finally, Yuuya reaches Kaori, and they share a moment as the boss of the gang charges at him. Yuuya manages to dodge the attack, causing the boss to crash his bike and be knocked out. The police arrive, and all the delinquents are arrested while Yuuya ensures Kaori's safety. Meanwhile, Yuta gets choked by the boss, but Yuuya steps in and saves him, earning his gratitude. Yuuya reveals that even though they were terrible to him, they are still his family, and he couldn't abandon them. As everything settles down, Yuuya's siblings Yuta and Sora apologize for their past behavior, moving him to tears. Tenjou stood ready at the entrance of the fantasy realm, fully equipped and prepared. However, as he opened the door, he couldn't help but recall Owen's warning about the dangerous nature of the region he was entering. Owen had enlightened him that the area he resided in was known as the Darkest Region, renowned for its high level of danger. Tenjou had defeated monsters easily before, but if they were to appear in large numbers, they could potentially destroy an entire city. These thoughts lingered in his mind as he ventured into the forest, battling a few monsters along the way before deciding to call it a day. On his way back home, Tenjou heard a distressed cry that caught his attention. Rushing to the scene, he discovered a king orc with formidable strength manhandling a lost pup. Hidden in camouflage, Tenjou observed the beatdown, feeling sorry for the helpless creature. However, he questioned whether his current power level was enough to take on the king orc. Uncertain of his abilities, Tenjou reluctantly continued his journey back home, only to be stopped by his conscience as the pup's cries persisted. Recalling what his grandfather would do in such a situation, Tenjou summoned his spear and launched it towards the orc, hoping to divert its attention. With adrenaline rushing through his veins, he dashed forward, sword in hand. To his surprise, he found the monster already vanquished with his first attack. Reflecting on a similar feat against a high-level bloody ogre when he was just level 1, Tenjou attributed his victory to the sage spear. His attention was then drawn to the pup, who regarded him as an enemy until he revived it with a magic potion from his item box. The pup, revealed to be an orphan black Fenrir, woke up and took an instant liking to Tenjou. Realizing the pup's significant power and high intelligence, as well as its ability to understand human speech, Tenjou decided to adopt the Fenrir and named it Night. They made their way back to the cabin, analyzing the items obtained from defeating the king orc. Among the items was a rare hairbrush known to nourish and revive hair. Taking advantage of its properties, Tenjou used it to brush Night while also checking his stats, which remained unchanged despite defeating a high-level monster. Tenjou shrugged off the discrepancy, deciding to delve into the mechanics of leveling up later. The next day, Tenjou informed his classmates about his new companion and inquired about a nearby pet shop. Keed, curious about Knight's appearance, asked for a photo, but Tenjou revealed he didn't even own a smartphone, surprising everyone. They redirected the conversation to the pet shop and offered to accompany Tenjou. After a shopping trip, Tenjou returned home with a bag full of items for Knight. They went for a walk in the park, attracting attention from admirers. While strolling, Tenjou bumped into Kaori, and after introducing Knight to her, they seemed to develop a bond. During their encounter, Miu, the same model, called out to Tenjou. After introducing Miu to Kaori, some tension or jealousy seemed to arise between them. Their beauty captivated onlookers before Miu departed, expressing her desire to meet Tenjou again during walks. Kaori, inquiring whether Tenjou and Miu were dating, received a denial. Tenjou believed he wasn't good enough for Miu, which Kaori strongly disagreed with, revealing her feelings for him. Their conversation was interrupted when a lady screamed about a purse snatcher, and Tenjou commanded Knight to chase down the culprit. While Tenjou checked on the injured old lady with Kaori, the criminal attempted to attack Kaori with a knife, but Tenjou intervened and apprehended him. The police arrived to take the criminal into custody. Later, Tenjou and Knight ventured into the forest, aiming to conquer a specific area to progress further. They encountered and defeated various monsters, including a powerful crystal deer. Examining the dropped items, Tenjou found a fully functioning hot bath, which they enjoyed upon returning to the cabin. The next day, they faced a challenging needle roller but eventually emerged victorious. Tenjou noticed his stats had increased, along with gaining new skills. Perplexed by the connection between his and Knight's stats, Tenjou decided to explore the matter further in the future. As they prepared to leave, they discovered a hidden tunnel leading them deeper into the forest. Guided by spontaneous fires, they reached an opening where Knight ran off to investigate. Tenjou approached a corpse but was soon drawn to a book titled The Book of the Sage. Opening it, he gasped in shock at its contents. As Tenjou continued reading the book, he learned about the incredible abilities and knowledge of the sage. The sage had mastered every skill and became as powerful as a god, even being offered a place among the gods, which he declined. However, the book warned Tenjou that as he grew stronger, people around him would begin to fear him. Tenjou wondered how he could prevent that from happening and suddenly heard the voice of the sage, who advised him to find people he could trust. The sage asked if there was anything else Tenjou wanted to learn, and Tenjou expressed his desire to learn magic. The sage filled the book with all his knowledge about magic, but he noted that Tenjou couldn't use magic because he didn't have magical circuits in his body, being from another world. However, the sage decided to pass on his own magical circuits to Tenjou, encouraging him to find happiness and live a good life. Excited and determined, Tenjou returned to his house and started studying magic from the book. He began by sensing the magical energy around him and learned the skill of magic energy manipulation. He discovered that he could gather magical energy in his hand and imagine the magic he wanted to use. Eager to test his newfound abilities, Tenjou went outside and imagined a ball of water, which turned out to be incredibly powerful, blowing straight through a tree. Knight also seemed to be learning and attempting his own magic. Meanwhile, in the royal capital of Arcelian Kingdom, Owen reported to the king, mentioning Tenjou and the princess's proposal. The king became furious, thinking that Tenjou had seduced his daughter. Back at school, Tenjou daydreamed about the sage's warning regarding magic and how the techniques he was learning were not commonly known, even in his own world. The teacher reminded them about the upcoming camping trip and assigned them to groups. Tenjou was placed in a group with Keed, Dae, and a girl named Rin. He was excited about the trip, and Tenjou mentioned that he didn't have camping equipment. Keed suggested they go shopping, and they headed to the mall. At the mall, Shingo was surprised to see Kaori joining them, as she was usually unapproachable due to being the director's daughter. However, Kaori asked them to treat her like any other student. Tenjou wondered where Akira was, and Shingo explained that he couldn't make it. They went inside the mall and helped Tenjou pick out a backpack. Afterwards, they decided to hang out at the arcade. Shingo expressed his excitement at seeing his favorite character in a crane game but admitted he was terrible at it. Tenjou decided to give it a try, using his detect weakness skill to find the weak spot and win the figure in a single try. Keed asked Tenjou to win her a cat as well, and with his skill, he easily succeeded. Tenjou ended up winning prizes for all his friends, and Kaori thanked him, expressing that it was her first time in an arcade. The girls decided to go shopping for clothes while the guys took a break at a cafe. Tenjou reflected on how much fun he was having, being able to hang out with friends for the first time. However, an alarm suddenly rang, announcing a fire and the need to evacuate. Tenjou immediately worried about the girls and asked a man if he had seen them. Rai received a call from Keed, who informed them that they were still stuck upstairs. Tenjou rushed up the stairs, thinking about his friends, and reached the source of the fire. The sprinklers weren't enough to extinguish it, so Tenjou decided it was time to use his magic. He covered his body with a layer of water, allowing him to run through the flames unharmed. Inside the building, the girls were unconscious from the smoke, while Tenjou desperately searched for them. Just in time, he found them and wondered if there was anyone else left. Using his detection skill, he scanned the building and discovered they were the only ones remaining. Tenjou covered the girls with his magic, but the fire intensified, and he worried they wouldn't make it out. Outside, Ryu and Shingo informed the officers that their friends were still inside, but they couldn't do anything until the fire was under control. Tenjou frantically searched for an exit, but the roof collapsed, forcing him to dodge the falling debris. In a desperate move, he used his magic to smash through the building and create his own exit. Though the building shook, Tenjou managed to emerge with the girls. The girls received medical treatment, and the firefighters reprimanded Tenjou for his recklessness. Kaori's father arrived, thanking Tenjou for saving his daughter once again. Tenjou returned the honor pin he had picked up and watched as Kaori hugged her father. Reflecting on what a family should be like, Tenjou thought that he didn't have anyone like that. However, when he returned home, he realized that Knight was like family to him. Tenjou, now more familiar with his magical abilities, began contemplating the various ways he could utilize magic. Realizing that magic was the materialization of his imagination, he entertained the idea of using it for travel. He focused his thoughts on a specific location he desired to go, and to his surprise, he successfully opened a portal that transported him deep into the dark forest. Excited about the effectiveness of his magic, Tenjou also discovered a limitation. He could only use the portal to go to places he had already visited. Nonetheless, he thought he could use it to return home temporarily to feed Knight, his loyal companion. As his school trip approached, he took the opportunity to do some further exploration with his Fenrir. During their exploration, they stumbled upon a cave inhabited by goblins. Armed with his legendary sword, Tenjou easily dispatched the goblins, revealing a trove of rare items within the cave. Utilizing his storage skill, he stored away all the valuable findings. He also felt that his teamwork with Knight was improving. As they left the cave, Tenjou suggested calling it a day, but Knight seemed reluctant to stop. Sensing something ahead, Knight dashed off, prompting Tenjou to follow. Utilizing his invisibility skill, he cautiously continued and eventually came across an injured girl facing a group of goblins. Tenjou felt the urge to save her, but Knight restrained him. An elite goblin attacked, but the girl skillfully used her threads to sever the goblin's arm. Tenjou was intrigued by her unique ability but was interrupted as the goblins launched another assault. The girl blocked their attacks with her threads, but the elite goblin managed to strike her, rendering her unconscious. Just as the goblin closed in on the defenseless girl, Tenjou emerged from his invisibility and, aided by Knight, defeated the remaining goblins. However, more goblins appeared, overwhelming them. In a desperate move, Tenjou unleashed his divine whip, which bound and crushed all the goblins in a single devastating attack. Reflecting on the power of his new skill, he realized it might be too overpowering. After the intense battle, Tenjou contemplated what to do with the injured girl. While he considered taking her back to his house, Knight seemed to disagree with the idea. Uncertain, Tenjou was left with a dilemma. However, the girl suddenly woke up and found herself being carried by Tenjou. Embarrassed, she fell to the ground, and Tenjou offered her healing juice, which instantly healed all her injuries. Grateful for his assistance, the girl, Luna, introduced herself, and Tenjou reciprocated. However, Knight remained hostile toward her, leaving Tenjou perplexed. Luna explained that she had been training in the forest based on a client's request. Tenjou, trying to hide his own reasons for being there, simply mentioned he was also training. Luna expressed surprise as Tenjou was the one who carried her to safety. She apologized for her disheveled appearance, but Tenjou reassured her it was fine. Luna asked if there was a nearby river where she could clean up, and to her astonishment, Tenjou produced a bath item obtained from a crystal deer. Impressed by his accomplishment, Luna commended his strength. As Luna joined Tenjou in the bath, she expressed her gratitude for the time they had spent together, treasuring the moments they had shared. She thanked him again and offered to wash his back, but a towel mishap left both of them embarrassed. Later, as Tenjou's class embarked on their school trip, he joined his friends in playing cards. Tenjou admitted feeling tired and mentioned his lack of sleep from the previous night. He won the game repeatedly, attributing his success to the high luck stat he had invested in. Considering his encounter with Luna, he wondered if luck played a role there as well. During the trip, Tenjou took a nap, and upon arrival at their camping destination, the students were informed that they had to fend for themselves, living off the land. They were told to find food such as fish from the river and edible plants, although the latter raised concerns about potential poison. Despite the challenging situation, Tenjou and his friends began strategizing. Tenjou and Ki decided to try their hand at fishing while Rin and Akira searched for edible plants. Using his detect skill, Tenjou located a promising spot by the river. Instead of using a fishing pole, he waded into the water, utilizing his knowledge of monster behavior acquired from Luna. With impressive dexterity, he caught fish with his bare hands, leaving Ki astonished by his skills. Though he caught an abundance of fish, Tenjou admitted to getting carried away and contemplated thanking Luna for her advice. In the dark part of town, Luna engaged in her own activities. She found a shop filled with puppets and expertly severed their heads with her threads. Reflecting on her improved powers, Luna acknowledged the impact Tenjou had on her, wishing they had met earlier, possibly altering the course of her life. However, she understood the need to let go of her feelings, aware that she was known as the headhunter and had a mission to fulfill. Tenjou and Ki reunited with Rin, eager to show her their haul. Rin was astonished to hear that Tenjou had caught all the fish with his bare hands. As they approached Akira, they noticed him lying on the ground, complaining that Rin had used him to test mushrooms for poison and as a decoy to lure away bears. Tenjou became concerned for Akira's well-being and quickly checked his stats to see if he was poisoned. Relieved to find that he was okay, Tenjou commended Rin and Akira for gathering a variety of edible plants. They gathered their findings and headed to the building to show their teacher what they had collected. Other students were having their food checked for poisonous items. Tenjou bumped into Kaori, who asked him how his team was doing. They discussed their experiences during the camping trip until Kaori was called away by their teacher. Akira expressed his admiration for Tenju's close relationship with Kaori, wishing he could be more like him. The group showed their haul to Sawada, who praised them for being the first team to bring back such a large amount of safe-to-eat food. She got excited about her bonus but mentioned that they would also be graded on their cooking skills. When asked who would be cooking, everyone pointed at Tenjou. Sawada encouraged him to do his best, emphasizing that their bonus relied on him. Tenjou felt that Sawada shouldn't be so transparent about her motives but started preparing the food. Thanks to his experience living alone and cooking in the other world, he managed to create an impressive meal. The team gathered to enjoy the meal, and Tenjou anxiously awaited their reaction. Sawada, who had been drinking, came along and expressed surprise at the food they were eating. She tried some herself, and Tenjou grew nervous, wondering how they would like it. However, they found the food amazing. Sawada remarked that even though their meals were prepared by first-rate chefs at the school, she found Tenju's cooking even better, questioning how it was possible. Tenjou reflected on how he had only cooked for himself since he was alone but felt happy seeing others enjoy his his food. After the meal, Sawada surprised everyone by asking Tenjou to marry her. The group tried to dissuade her, with Keith even saying that Tenjou was no good. This made Tenjou think that he must be a failure as a person. However, Sawada persisted, stating that she would wait for him. Tenjou grew nervous, thinking it wasn't appropriate since she was his teacher, but he acknowledged that she was a good teacher. Sawada, pleased to hear this, hugged him tightly while Keith tried to pull him away, and Akira thought he was the luckiest guy in the world.
It should have been me, not him!
Later that night, Tenjou teleported back to his house to check up on Knight. Using some food from his storage, he quickly prepared dinner for Knight. As he watched Knight eat, he pondered how he enjoyed making others happy with his food. He then teleported back to the camp, where everyone was taking a shower together. Tenjou noticed everyone staring at him, wondering what was going on. Akira pointed out that his body was ridiculous, and Tenjou couldn't understand the fascination. However, Akira couldn't believe how good-looking Tenjou was, leaving Tenjou puzzled. Meanwhile, in the girls' bathroom, Rin teased Keith about all the boys being into her. They ran into Kaori, and the girls mentioned how Sawada wanted to marry Tenjou. Kaori was surprised to hear this, and the girls speculated about Sawada having a certain advantage. Keith appeared inspired to make a move on Tenjou as well, while Kaori wondered about Tenju's preferences in girls. The next morning, some students found their belongings trashed, suspecting a thief. Akira appeared worried, while Tenjou checked that their belongings were intact. The group decided to search for breakfast, but Akira grew scared upon seeing scratch marks on a tree. Tenjou remembered Akira's mention of being used as a decoy for bears, and he realized what was happening. Just then, a bear appeared before the girls, and they quickly ran away, panicked. Sawada signaled for the group to take cover with her, and they managed to evade the bear. However, Sawada fell down, and the bear lunged at her. Tenjou swiftly intervened, wrestling with the bear and successfully knocking it out. He checked on Sawada, who acknowledged that she would typically lecture him about fighting a bear, but decided to let him off the hook since he saved her life. She even jokingly offered to marry him again, but he politely declined. Kaori explained that they would take the bear in as a guard bear, and if it attacked people again, they would simply eat it. The issue was resolved, and the camping trip came to an end. Back at his house, Tenjou had a scheduled meeting with the king in the other world. On his way to meet the king, he encountered a group of demons in the forests. Concerned that Lexia's group might run into them, he decided to take them out. With Knight's assistance, he defeated the demons, impressed by the power of the sage's weapons. One of the demons dropped an interesting-looking helmet, which Tenjou tried on. Unbeknownst to him, a strange-looking rabbit observed him, believing he was the one. Lexia's party approached, and Owen appeared worried upon seeing Tenjou. Tenjou quickly realized it was because of the helmet and removed it. Relieved, they continued their journey to meet the king. However, Knight suddenly jumped on Lexia as a tree fell nearby. Tenjou swiftly slashed through the tree, preventing it from harming Lexia. He noticed the threads, reminiscent of Luna's abilities, and came to the realization that Luna had tried to attack Lexia. Determined to find out the truth, Tenjou asked Lexia to let him heal Luna's wounds and bring her back to his house for questioning. Curious about the situation, Lexia granted his request, while Owen, left behind, expressed his concern. Tenjou, accompanied by Lexia and Luna, teleported back to his house. He wondered what was truly going on and hoped to discover the reasons behind Luna's actions. Lexia is surprised by the teleportation, and they wait for Luna to wake up. Tenjou explains how he met Luna in the forest and how they even trained together, but Lexia is more interested in the teleportation spell he used to get back to the house. Tenjou says he just thought about using magic for transportation and just ended up creating it. Lexia can't believe him and tells him that teleportation magic is regarded as something from a fairy tale, and there has never been anyone who was confirmed to be able to use it. She warns him that if anyone were to find out he can use it, it could even lead to a war, so she makes him promise not to use it in front of people without thinking first. She suddenly calls out Luna, asking her how long she intends to pretend to sleep. Luna gets up, realizing she is busted, and Lexia notes how Tenjou also knew she was faking but was just being nice and playing along. Lexia asks her about her story, but Luna thinks there is no point and tells her to just kill her. However, Tenjou asks about her story as well, so Luna explains how she was an orphan that scavenged just to survive. She was eventually taken in by a man who taught her how to read and write, as well as the ways of assassination. She eventually joined the Dark Guild. Tenjou is curious about the Dark Guild, and Lexia explains that they are an organization responsible for orchestrating all kinds of crimes. Luna goes on to say how she has completed countless assassinations and even became known as the Headhunter. Lexia is surprised just hearing this, having heard of the name. Tenjou wonders if Knight knew all along, and he realizes that was the reason why he was aggressive toward her in the beginning. Luna reveals her assignment to assassinate Lexia. Now that she has failed, her death is guaranteed because she will either get executed, or the Dark Guild will send assassins after her for her failure. Tenjou gets worried for her, but Luna wonders why he cares since they only spent a brief time together. Tenjou says that even though their time together was short, it meant a lot to him, so he sees her as a friend. Luna thinks it's already too late for her, but Lexia interrupts, telling her to work for her instead and become their bodyguard. Luna wonders what she is saying, and Lexia explains that since only she and Tenjou know about the assassination attempt, they can just keep it a secret. If she is the princess's guard, it would be harder for the Dark Guild to get to her. Luna thinks she is insane, saying she is a criminal with hands stained with blood, but Lexia tells her she has pretty hands, wondering how they are so soft. She says it was thanks to Tenjou's bath. She continues to decline, but Lexia tells her off, saying that since she failed to kill her, she is the loser and must now follow her orders. Luna has no choice but to accept the job. Meanwhile, we see Owen and his soldiers running away from goblins. His men can't keep going, so they are forced to retreat and leave Lexia's protection up to Tenjou. Luna can't believe how things turned out, thinking Lexia is a tyrant. But as her first order, Lexia demands to hear more about Tenjou's bath. Luna explains that Tenjou has a rare bath item that can create a bath anywhere, and helps with recovering from fatigue, but it also has positive effects on beauty. Lexia thinks it sounds incredible, demanding to use it as well. She decides to take a bath with Luna, inviting Tenjou to join them as well, but he nervously declines, and Luna calls it his loss. The girls enjoy the bath together, finding it relaxing. But Lexia suddenly asks if Luna likes Tenjou, and Luna says they're just friends. Lexia says she can tell she likes him, but Luna denies it, telling her she is imagining things. So Lexia tells her plan to marry him, and Luna objects to the idea. Lexia points out she shouldn't have a problem if they were just friends, and Luna isn't sure how she feels. But Lexia suddenly issues her a declaration of war, saying she is definitely in love with Tenjou, so they will both vie for him, and she will be the winner if she can marry Tenjou. Luna is confused hearing this, but thinking about Tenjou getting taken away, she accepts the challenge, wanting Tenjou for herself. Lexia declares that from that moment, Luna will be both her guard and her rival. After their bath, Tenjou thinks they should make some dinner. Lexia offers to cook, but she struggles trying to cut a single potato, even losing her knife and almost causing an accident. So Tenjou ends up cooking the meal instead. After school, a modeling agency approached Tenjou, inviting him to join their industry. He politely declined, stating that he was content with his school life. The chief of the agency was surprised by his disinterest, but Tenjou explained that he was enjoying his time at school. Niu, a model, tried to convince him, shocking his friends who didn't know he had a connection with her. He clarified that they had worked together before and showed them a magazine cover featuring them together, promoting an upcoming sports competition. Kaori chased after a poster for the sports event that landed near them. The chief of the modeling agency suddenly had an idea to feature Tenjou and the school in an article, using the event as a backdrop. She left to seek approval from the school. In another world, Tenjou defeated a skeleton monster but felt he hadn't grown stronger. He ventured deeper into the forest and encountered an area filled with tough, black trees that resisted normal attacks. He wondered about Akatsuki's growth but was startled when attacked by a powerful mithril boar. Despite attempting to heal himself, the boar continued its assault, leaving Tenjou in a precarious situation. As the boar charged, an unexpected savior emerged, a talking rabbit named Usagi. Usagi swiftly dispatched the boar, stunning Tenjou with his incredible power. Upon checking Usagi's stats, Tenjou discovered the rabbit's immense strength and numerous titles. Grateful for the rescue, Tenjou thanked Usagi, who then asked to see Tenju's kick technique. Impressed, Usagi recognized potential in Tenjou and began training him in his devastating kicks. After Tenjou managed to destroy one of the tough trees, Usagi initiated sparring sessions to further enhance Tenju's abilities. Wondering about the purpose behind this training, Tenjou learned from Usagi that he was a divine, tasked with passing down techniques to successors. Usagi wanted Tenjou to be his successor as a divine kicker, explaining the duty of divines to protect the world from vials, manifestations of the world's negative aspects. While hesitant about becoming a divine, Tenjou pondered his desire to protect Knight and Akatsuki. Usagi continued training him, proposing an exchange of knowledge, expressing interest in learning magic from Tenjou due to the impressive barrier around his house, a work of the sage. Though Tenjou considered it a coincidence, they struck a deal to exchange knowledge. As they trained, a king mithril boar pursued Tenjou, providing an opportunity for a rematch. Despite struggling, Tenjou combined his kicks with his whip techniques to defeat the boar. Celebrating his victory, Tenjou found numerous valuable items dropped by the defeated monster. Usagi explained the existence of even stronger creatures like Triple S and X-ranked monsters, warning about the legendary rank vials in the world. Tenjou received a sudden notification about evolving, and a radiant glow enveloped him. Although his appearance remained unchanged, he gained numerous new skills. The following day, he participated in a table tennis competition urged by the chief to put on a good show. His opponent was none other than the national champion known as the Sniper, delivering a powerful serve that even Tenjou struggled to return. Comparing it to the boar he faced before, Tenjou managed to easily return the next serve, creating a hole in the table. However, he forfeited the match to avoid injuring anyone, leaving photographers frustrated as Tenju's movements were too swift for them to capture. He dragged Tenjou off to play volleyball due to an injured team member, with the chief following. As the match started, the ball popped and the court was completely destroyed, causing the opposing team to surrender instantly. The chief realized the miss shot again because the distracted photographers. He'd comforted Tenjou, saying a win is a win. Suddenly, they heard a scream and found Kaori, witnessing her teammate being carried away. The match continued, and Tenjou took the place of the injured teammate in the tennis match. His opponents warned that he, too, would need medical attention. During the game, Kaori served, narrowly missing Tenjou. Encouraging her, Tenjou realized Kaori was actually targeting her opponent, not accidentally hitting them. Understanding her intention, Tenjou took over the match, skillfully playing every shot, while Kaori tried to help but ended up causing disruptions. Tenjou caught her when she almost fell, and finally, the chief managed to capture a shot. At the day's end, Kaori walked home with Tenjou, thanking him for his assistance. She offered to treat him to food, but Tenjou said being with her was enough thanks. Instead, Kaori surprised him with a kiss. Meanwhile, Usagi fought against one of the vials, defending himself with magic. The girl witnessing this was surprised as Usagi shouldn't have been capable of using magic. Usagi thanked Tenjou for teaching him, and the girl reassessed her priorities, now considering Tenjou a greater threat. She left to find and confront Tenjou first. The agency chief looks over their next issue, and she is happy with all the photos of Tenjou. She thinks about how well the magazine will sell, but her subordinate worries the other agencies will all be after Tenjou once they see it. However, the chief isn't worried, and she seems to have a plan to make sure Tenjou won't be able to refuse joining their agency. Back at Tenjou's house, Tenjou and Kaori study together. Tenjou thanks her for helping him with his math, but she says it's no problem since he has also been teaching her English. Tenjou just thanks his language comprehension skill that makes English easy for him to understand. In a flashback, we see the two walking home together and we learn their exams are coming up. Tenjou is worried about how he will do, and Kaori is surprised there is something he isn't good at. So she was the one who suggested they could study together. She meets Akatsuki for the first time, and she finds both his pets cute as they sleep. She asks to use the restroom, but after she leaves, Tenjou wonders if she will be able to find it. Kaori ends up in front of the door to the other world, and Tenjou comes after her. Kaori says she felt like she was being called by the door, and Tenjou gets nervous. He explains that the door connects to another world and tells her to try putting her hand through the door. Her hand is stopped by a barrier, and Tenjou explains that only people he allows can get through. Kaori wonders what the other world is like, and Tenjou explains it's a world of monsters and magic, showing off how he can use magic. Kaori is amazed, and Tenjou explains it was all thanks to the other world where he learned skills that allowed him to deal with the delinquents that attacked the school and save everyone from the fire in the department store. Kaori finds it unbelievable, and Tenjou offers to show her around in the other world. He takes her hand, and the two cross over to the other world. Kaori is surprised to see there really is another world, and Tenjou tells her that both Knight and Akatsuki come from this world. He explains Knight is a Fenrir, which is like a wolf, and Akatsuki is kind of like a pig, but Akatsuki gets offended hearing this. Kaori's status window suddenly appears, and Tenjou explains that ability in this world is represented by stats. He is surprised to see her starting stats are much higher than when he started, remembering how he only had 1 point in every stat. He explains how he leveled up in this world and how his appearance completely changed because of it, so he feels as though he cheated and he wouldn't have been accepted by everyone otherwise. But Kaori changes the topic, asking to see more of the world. Tenjou mentions that it's dangerous outside the barrier of his house but agrees to show her more some other time. She makes him pinky promise, and Tenjou asks her to keep his secret, making her feel as though they share a special bond, and she starts to feel closer to him. Meanwhile, in the capital, Lexia returns to the palace, and the king wonders why Tenjou is not with them. Owen explains their plans had to be changed, and the king wonders if it had something to do with Luna. Luna immediately admits she tried to assassinate Lexia, and the king grabs his sword, preparing to execute her. He lunges at her but ends up stopping, and he acknowledges her skill because she realized his sword has the ability to cut through anything that tries to stop it, so she stopped his arms instead. Lexia gets angry at her father, telling him it was her decision to take her as a guard and says she will hate him if he hurt her. The king is devastated hearing this, and he ends up recognizing Luna as one of Lexia's guards. After that, the king asks Owen more about Luna, and he explains how she was known as the headhunter for the Dark Guild. The king wonders how things relate to Tenjou, and Owen explains that Tenjou was the one who caught Luna and how he took Luna and Lexia back to his house. But hearing how Lexia stayed over in a man's house, he starts going on a rampage, thinking of how he wants to cut Tenjou down. Owen tells him nothing happened, but the king says he can't be sure since he wasn't there. Meanwhile, we see the masked man that once tried to kill Lexia. We learn he is actually the first prince, Rieger, and his subordinate tells him about how a supporting noble hired Luna to assassinate Lexia, but it ended in failure because of Tenjou, and she even turned into Lexia's guard. His subordinate also mentions how Tenjou was invited to the palace, and this gives Rieger an idea. He gives the man his secret weapon, a magic sealing barrier which can disable all magic within its area. It will make all the magic users that guard the king powerless, and then the only people they would need to deal with would be Owen and Luna. His man worries they will be exposed if the plan fails, but Rieger thinks they would be able to pin it on Tenjou when he visits. Tenjou gets an extra day off after the academy's competition, so he prepares to visit the capital. He does some farming, taking out a sheep monster which drops a number of items, including a rare bedding item that magically provides the best sleeping experience. Tenjou heads to the nearby town, and he is surprised to see there are cat girls in this world. He heads to the guild looking to trade because he doesn't have any money in this world. The master finds his name strange and doesn't recognize where he is from. Tenjou explains he is just from a small island, and the master thinks he must be a noble based on his appearance. Tenjou swears he's just a regular guy, but the master finds it hard to believe. The master wonders what he wants to sell and becomes amazed when he sees Tenjou's item box skill. Tenjou takes out a bunch of peppers, and the master is instantly amazed by the glass. He examines the peppers and finds it to be the highest quality he has ever seen. But Tenjou thinks it was just average pepper from the local shop. The master offers to buy it all for 100 gold coins, and Tenjou wonders if that is a lot, admitting he doesn't know the value of the currency in the kingdom. The master explains that an average family could live comfortably on 5 gold coins per year, so 100 gold would be enough for a whole family to live for 20 years. The master also gives him a guild card that can be used for identification, and Tenjou asks about how to get to the capital. The master tells him about the stagecoach that goes straight to the capital, and when he gets there, Tenjou is amazed by just how many people there are. Akatsuki points over to the palace, and Tenjou starts to get worried, thinking he will be out of place. He heads to the palace, and he is received by Owen. Owen tells him they're going straight to see the king, and Tenjou panics, thinking he is not ready. But Owen tells him not to worry because it's only an informal audience. We see Lexia and Luna waiting inside the chamber, and Tenjou pays his respects to the king. The king instantly brings up how Lexia proposed to him, and he starts to lose it, thinking Tenjou seduced his daughter. But Owen manages to calm him down. The king is not impressed because Tenjou didn't come with any gifts for Lexia, so Tenjou quickly pulls off the bedding set he got from the sheep. Lexia is flattered seeing it, but it seems to make the king mad, who thinks he is trying to seduce his daughter right in front of him. Owen tries to stop the king, saying Tenjou isn't aware of their customs, and Tenjou wonders what's going on. Lexia explains that getting bedding as a gift means you want to marry that person and share a bed with them. Tenjou realizes he messed up, and the king prepares to cut him down. But they are suddenly attacked by assassins. The king orders his guards to fire, but one of the men activates the magic ceiling barrier, stopping the arrows. The assassins attack, but Tenjou beats them up, and together with Knight, he easily takes them all out. Lexia hugs onto him and praises him, but Luna gets jealous and tries to pull her away while the king glares at Tenjou. Owen discovers a particular emblem on one of the assassins, and they realize the first prince, Rieger, was the one who was behind the attack. The news of the attack is spread among the guards, and it seems the king has since isolated himself in his room. Tenjou thinks about what he should do, and we see Owen ask for his help to keep Lexia safe. So, Tenjou goes looking for Lexia, hesitating to enter a room. But Lexia suddenly comes out and she suggests they should go around the capital since it's his first time there. Luna reminds her of her situation, but Lexia reasons if her brother were to send any more assassins, he would be giving up his own location. Luna agrees with her assessment, but she knows Lexia is really just trying to get outside. Luna tells her she should stay in the castle while she can be the one to show Tenjou around. But Lexia refuses, not wanting to let them be alone together. Owen suggests he could be the one to show Tenjou around while they can both stay in the castle, but the two girls both reject his idea. In the end, both the girls end up going while Owen watches from a distance. Lexia wants to show Tenjou the jewelers, but Luna has other suggestions, and the two girls fight over him. They cause a commotion, and the people around start looking at them, thinking Tenjou must be some kind of noble having two beauties with him. They look around the city, and it seems Tenjou is interested in the Adventurers Guild. He mentions how he registered with the Merchants Guild while on his way to the capital. Luna suggests he should register for the Adventurers Guild as well since he goes hunting more often, saying it will make it easier for him to trade monster materials and he can make some money from taking quests. Luna decides to register as well, wanting to go on a quest with Tenjou. Lexia doesn't like the idea, but Luna suggests she could register as well. Lexia complains about them being together, but Luna tells her not to worry because Tenjou will probably be too busy to take quests with her. They meet the clerk Emilia, who hands them their application forms. Tenjou starts filling it out, but there is a question about what magic he can use. He thinks about how the sage told him the common knowledge about magic isn't as advanced, so he decides he shouldn't mention he can use all types of magic as well as teleportation magic. So, he just puts down wind, fire, and water. The next question is about magic power, and Emilia explains they use a crystal ball to measure a person's magical energy. Tenjou wonders why they don't just look at their status window, but Emilia explains most adventurers keep their stats a secret, so this is to make sure no one is lying. Luna measures her energy, making the ball glow yellow, but she comments she has never been good with magic. Tenjou measures his energy next, but everyone is shocked when the ball is shattered. Emilia thinks it could be a mistake, so she decides to test him again. But the result is still the same. Tenjou apologizes, wondering if he needs to pay, but Emilia tells him it's okay. Emilia looks over their applications, but she becomes shocked when she reads he can use 3 different types of magic. Tenjou wonders if there is a problem, and Emilia explains that being able to use 3 types of magic already puts him in the realms of the people from their fairy tales. Lexia thinks he is amazing, and Tenjou is just glad he didn't put down all the other magic he can use. Emilia puts their applications into a machine, and it produces their guild cards. Emilia explains that as new adventurers, they start out as F-ranked. Tenjou wonders if there is a requirement for completing quests, but Emilia tells them they are free to go at their own pace. However, she warns them that for item gathering quests, they have to be careful not to over-harvest the plants so they they are able to grow back. The group checks out the quest board wondering what they should start with, but Tenjou suddenly gets approached by a woman named Glina. She says she wants to team up with him after seeing him destroy the measuring crystal, but the girls try to pull her away, saying she's had too much to drink. The woman leaves, but she hopes to see Tenjou again. Lexia rethinks joining the guild, thinking she needs to protect Tenjou from other women, but Luna tells her to think about Owen, who already struggles to control her. They head out into the field, and their first quest is to gather some herbs. Tenjou is surprised with his discernment skill. The skill even gives him harvesting instructions. Luna finds it tough trying not to damage its roots, and Lexia is just glad to get away from everything. She proposes a competition with Luna to see who can gather the more valuable herbs, and the winner gets to go on a date with Tenjou for a whole day. But Owen reminds them not to over-harvest the area. They all leave to start looking, and Tenjou is left alone. He manages to find a mana healing plant, and Akatsuki tries to help him, but he just finds one that's extremely poisonous. The girls return with their herds, and Tenjou starts examining what they harvested. But Owen suddenly comes rushing over, saying they have discovered the location of the first prince, and he asks Tenjou for his assistance. Lexia and Luna are left to head back to the castle while Tenjou and Owen head on their way. They arrive at an abandoned house, and things seem quiet. Owen suggests the prince might already be captured by earlier soldiers, but as they enter the house to check it out, a knife instantly hits one of the soldiers. They find the prince threatening the life of one of the guards, but Tenjou sends Knight, who is able to save the man. Owen has him surrounded, telling him to give up, but the prince refuses as he slashes at them. He suddenly threatens to end his own life, thinking he is worthless, and Owen doesn't know what to do, but Tenjou instantly approaches to stop him. The prince tries to attack him, but he ends up getting knocked to the ground. Owen thanks Tenjou for his help, and they prepare to take the prince away, but there is suddenly an explosion as the house is blown open. The prince is relieved to see the girl from the vial. However, she analyzes the situation and determines he has failed, so he is no longer needed. The prince is shocked hearing this, thinking she wanted to help him become king. But the girl reveals her real plan was to use him to start wars and kill as many people as possible. The prince realizes he was tricked, and the girl prepares to finish him off. Owen tries to save him, but he suddenly gets stopped by an arrow. Tenjou wonders where the arrow came from, but the girl starts bombarding them with more arrows. Owen wonders what she is after, and the girl reveals she is trying to wipe out all of humanity. The knights struggle against the arrows, and it seems the girl also has the ability to predict their movements. The girl prepares to finish them off, but Tenjou uses his magic to blow all the arrows away. Owen thanks him for saving them, and the girl realizes that he is the Tenjou that she is after. She wants to fight him, but she notes she has already used up too much of her power, so she decides to retreat for the time being. The prince is taken in, but Tenjou is left wondering about the identity of the girl. Ryger was brought before the king, and his mask and clothes were removed, revealing a body marked with numerous scars. Lexia found it challenging to face him, knowing she was responsible for his injuries. She had once lost control of her magic, causing Ryger to be caught in its destructive energy. Over time, this incident drove Ryger to madness, developing an insatiable urge for destruction. To suppress this urge, he inflicted further damage upon himself. He blamed the king for not aiding him and for isolating him from the public, making him feel unfit to remain as the first prince. Tenjou surprisingly interrupted, suggesting he might be able to help. He brought out his healing juice, made from the cure-all herb, and offered it to Ryger. Initially resistant, Ryger eventually relented, allowing the juice to heal his scars completely, leaving everyone astonished. Tenjou explained he grew the rare herb in his garden, shocking the king, who recognized its legendary status. Grateful for the miraculous healing, the king thanked Tenjou for using such a precious item. Ryger, despite his healed scars, laughed, believing he still faced a death sentence. Curious about Ryger's crimes, Lexia inquired, learning he had made multiple attempts on her life and even attacked the king. Deciding the matter was against her, Lexia pardoned Ryger, much to the king's dismay. Pushing for forgiveness, Lexia insisted the king forgive Ryger for her sake, eventually persuading him to agree. Thus, Ryger managed to escape his sentence. The king considered rewarding Tenjou, with Lexia playfully suggesting her hand in marriage, and Luna, too, offering her hand. However, the king granted Tenjou the title of Lord Knight, along with land and a mansion. As Tenjou retired to his room for the night, he fell into a deep sleep but was plagued by a dream involving a mysterious girl. He woke up abruptly in his school, running home without spending time with his friends or even noticing Kaori. Back in the other world, Tenjou immersed himself in rigorous training to prepare for potential battles against the Vile. Knight sensed an incoming threat, and suddenly, they were ambushed by the mysterious girl. She declared her intent for revenge, viewing Tenjou as an obstacle to her plans. Meanwhile, Kaori visited Tenju's house, hoping to study together. Finding the door open, she entered and explored the other world, seeking him out. In the midst of Tenjou and the girl named Yudi's confrontation, distant explosions echoed through the area. Yudi fired arrows relentlessly at Tenjou, prompting him to charge at her alongside Knight. With a swift kick, he managed to strike Yudi, causing her to falter momentarily. Impressed by Tenju's strength, Yudi recognized the need to eliminate him before he grew more powerful. She intensified her assault, launching a barrage of attacks at Tenjou, who noticed Kaori's presence nearby. Distraught, Tenjou attempted to shield Kaori, resulting in an explosive impact from Yudi's attack. As Yudi prepared her final devastating strike aimed at Tenjou, Yuzagi intervened just in time, apologizing for his delayed arrival. He informed them of his investigation into Yudi's identity, revealing her as the disciple of the divine archer seeking revenge for her slain master. Yudi voiced her disdain, claiming Yuzaga's late appearances and accusing humans of betraying her master, who once protected them. Yuzagi stressed their responsibility as divines to fight against the vile, arguing that using their divine skills for world destruction violated their covenant with the planet. However, Yudi argued that she hadn't officially taken on the title of divine, absolving her from such constraints. The battle raged on, during which Tenjou replicated a move Yuzagi used to create an opening. Seizing the opportunity, Yuzagi landed a powerful blow on Yudi. Unyielding in her thirst for vengeance, Yudi refused to relent, believing humans to be worthless. Resorting to the power of the vial, she unleashed a piercing scream that nearly overwhelmed Tenjou. In the ensuing clash between Yuzagi and Yudi, Akatsuki rushed into the fray, activating his Holy Ground skill, which nullified Yudi's power. This allowed Tenjou to incapacitate her, aided by Akatsuki's intervention. Yuzagi elucidated on the existence of holy beasts, who opposed the vial, and noted Akatsuki's role among them. Confident that Yudi wouldn't be able to wield her vile powers again, Yuzagi entrusted her to Tenju's care. Kaori hurried over, but a sudden appearance of a monster startled her. Tenjou swiftly dispatched the threat, leaving Kaori in shock. Tenjou explained the harsh reality of his life in this world, questioning if witnessing such events made her fearful or altered her perception of him. However, Kaori reassured him, emphasizing that despite his growth and abilities, his essential kindness remained unchanged from the first time they met. She confessed her long-standing admiration for him, highlighting how he had always been a source of kindness and heroism in her eyes. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.